Star Trek Online's lifetime subscription is currently on sale on all platforms. It's going to be 50% off for the first part of the sale from the 27th, so right now until May 30th, and then it'll be going back down to 33% off from the 30th to June 2nd. This is actually pretty good timing for me because I've been wanting to do a video going over Star Trek Online's lifetime subscription to ask the question, is it still worth it in 2025? Let's start with the price of the lifetime subscription, because depending on which platform you're on, it's going to be a little different. For PC players, the lifetime subscription is normally $300 USD, but like I said earlier, they do put this on sale pretty regularly, so you can get that lower down to either $200 or possibly even $150. In the past, you could only purchase the lifetime subscription on PC through the game's website, but they have recently changed that and added a link to the lifetime subscription in the in-game Zen store. So you can just click that and it'll take you to a link here. You'll get purchasing methods here. You still won't be able to purchase it with Zen, I don't think. I can't exactly go through payment methods here, but I'm pretty sure you can still only buy this with actual money, not with Zen. But however, that is different on the console version of the game. Now, console players, this is for both Xbox and PlayStation, not only are they able to buy the lifetime subscription with Zen, but the actual total amount of Zen is actually less than the cost of the PC version of the subscription. Console players can purchase the lifetime subscription for 25,000 Zen, which is roughly the equivalent of $250 USD. So basically, console players are getting this for $50 less than PC players are. And that's, again, not counting any usual sale prices, because never buy the lifetime subscription at full price. Always wait for a sale, which, like I said, it can go up to 33% off or up to 50% off, depending on how soon you jump on that sale. Now, there is a reason that the console version of the lifetime subscription is cheaper and more accessible than the PC version. That's because of the stipend perk. On PC, players will get a 500 Zen monthly stipend, meaning 500 every month you'll get 500 Zen placed into your account, meaning that eventually, if you wait long enough, the lifetime subscription on PC will actually just pay itself off if given enough time. Microsoft and Sony, however, won't let them do this. So the console version of the lifetime subscription does not give away free Zen every month like the PC version does. That's why it is less expensive and can be purchased with Zen. Now, those are the only differences between the two platforms, so let's get a look at the other perks that the lifetime subscription will come with. The first being is that there are a couple of unique playable species that are only accessible through the lifetime subscription. The first of which is Liberated Borg. Liberated Borg, they've been in the game since launch, but they've always been only limited to the lifetime subscription. They're interesting. They're not super different from most other characters, though space Barbie wise, they're noticeably different because they get a bunch of unique Borg parts. You can see a bunch of these Borg implants. You get the unique infected skin that is only available to Liberated Borg characters. The Borg Infected 1, Borg Infected 2, about it, and then you get a bunch of implant options. A bunch of those. The 7 of 9 one you can get through the Zen store, so that one doesn't count. More Borg implants. So basically, if you're wanting to do like a Borg character or Liberated Borg character, that's kind of the only option you're going to be able to do that is with the lifetime sub, which kind of sucks because I know there are a handful of people who really want a Borg faction. It's never going to happen, but I know they really want it. But yeah, this is kind of the closest you're going to get to it, and it kind of sucks that that's locked behind the lifetime sub. There are ways around it though. Like there are other Borg costumes that you can get without the lifetime subscription. Like there's the Borg drone armor available in the Low-Buy store. There's also that one episode that rewards some Borg costume pieces as well. There's also Borg ships in the game too that are available in the lockboxes. So yeah, there's ways to do it. It's just expensive to do it, and locking this behind the lifetime subscription just kind of makes it even more expensive. One thing I think is kind of annoying about the assimilated characters is that you don't get a lot of customization in terms of other species. It's always going to be either an assimilated human for Federation, an assimilated Klingon for KDF characters, and an assimilated Romulan for Romulan Republic characters. So I can't, this is clearly an assimilated human or formerly assimilated human, but I can't do anything simple. Like I can't change the forehead. I can't change the ears. Like I go non-infected, infected, or not available, and I think that's just a bug. But yeah, it's kind of weird that they limited that way. even very limited selection to eyebrows to just, the human options. So despite the fact that you're getting a unique species, it's technically just a variation of human in terms of Space Barbie reasons, I guess. Or again, variation of Klingon or Romulan if you're on the other factions. Here's a look at assimilated Klingons. There we go. Here's some of the presets here. Again, it's just like with the human characters. You really only have access to just the Klingon parts. You're not going to be able to do anything beyond that. It's just Klingons with Borg parts planted on top of them. And here's liberated Romulan Borg. Again, some of the presets, just again, it's all just the same stuff, just depending on which character you get, but you don't really get any customization beyond just the extra Borg parts. You're always going to be the same species, just liberated from the Borg. Now, just like with any playable species in Star Trek Online, the liberated Borg do have their own unique personal trait, or unique species trait, I should say. So what it does is a species trait, if you are a former Borg drone, you feed from your connection to the collective. You retain a rigid efficiency and internal metabolism of a Borg drone, giving your systems extra efficiency in space and your body extra regeneration and resilience on the ground. So this is one of the few species traits that will have an effect on both space and ground. So in space, you'll get plus 32 Starship Warp Core efficiency, which really isn't anything special. And on ground, you get plus 10% to health regeneration and plus 6% to shield regeneration. You also gain access to the ability Neural Blast. Neural Blast is also a unique active ground trait, so you'll have to actually slot this into your ground traits, but you'll have access to this if you are a liberated Borg. Basically what it is, the little assimilated injection tubules that Borg have, they're basically those. You can select a target, inject a target with neurotoxin, which will reduce the target's movement speed with a chance to stun the target. This ability can expose the target, and that's it. So it's a debuff to run speed and has a 50% chance to stun the target. So it's definitely not worth the ground slot that it takes up, but it is something unique that the liberated Borg get to further enhance the feel of a Borg. Because like I said, it's basically just the assimilation tubules that they shoot out, but it has a much longer range than it does in the show. I think you see the actual NPC Borg use it in the game sometimes, so it's that ability. So while assimilated Borg are kind of neat, honestly, I would much rather have access to alien characters than a liberated Borg, because you do get some unique options with the liberated Borg. You get far more options with an alien character, both in both Space Barbie wise and just stats wise too, because the species trait on alien characters is just a 10th empty personal trait slot for both space and ground, which is far more beneficial than pretty much any species trait. And like I said, while you do get some unique costume options, you get far more variety on an alien character too. So I always found it weird that they limited the liberated Borg characters to being just the one species from that faction. It always seemed odd to me. It's also important to note that there is no liberated Borg Jem'Hadar characters, so you will only get access to liberated Borg characters for the Federation, Klingon, and Romulan factions. Just the main faction too. There's no liberated Borg for the Discovery Federation or TOS Federation factions either. So just the mainline Federation, Klingon, and Romulan factions. There's also a second species that is limited to the lifetime subscription. That is Talaxians. So if you're a big fan of Neelix, maybe you'll be wanting access to this too. But again, this is only available through the lifetime subscription. Yeah, the Talaxians, they're a little bit more unique than the Borg. They actually have a lot of their own unique parts. I actually don't know how many of these parts are also available in the alien for alien characters too. I don't know how many of these are limited to that. So again, kind of unique, not a lot of variety, just unique in the sense of, just like any other species. So if you're really wanting to go for Talaxian Space Barbie, the lifetime sub is kind of your only option. Talaxians can be part of the Federation or the Klingon faction, but that's it. They can't be part of any of the half factions or the era-specific factions of the Federation. Only just the mainline Federation and Klingon Empire factions for Talaxians. And like with any playable species, the Talaxians also have their own unique species trait. This one, on ground and space, gives you plus 5% to incoming heals to self and your team. So it gives you a little bit bonus to heals for both you and your teammates on ground and space, and also gives plus 5% to skill points and expertise points to the whole team. So a little bit of help there on the team, but again, I would much rather have just the open empty trait slot that you get with aliens than this tiny buff to heals and skill point buffs. The lifetime sub also gives you a unique android bridge officer, which will have its own unique traits as well as some unique costume pieces. The trait here, we'll do that first. It's got the unique trait android. which gives it some bonus damage to physical damage, as well as a bunch of resistances. And we'll also give it the ability Reboot 2, which when it's knocked out, it will have it will be able to revive itself up to 50 HP once every 10 minutes, which is a very long time, but considering these are bridge officers, it's kind of fine. You're only going to be using them in episodes, really, so yeah, I guess that's fine, I guess. It also comes with superior creativity and superior acute senses, which are not unique to androids, but are still kind of decent. Though unfortunately all of these are ground traits, so none of these are going to have any effect on your performance in space combat. This is an engineering version of the bridge officer. However, you can pick this up in any specialization that you want. You can find them right down here in this vendor underneath Admiral Quinn's office for the Federation. I don't remember where the KDF version is, but yeah, you can get engineer, science, or tactical, and you can get them in male or female characters. Now, unlike the liberated Borg, androids are set up to be much more robust in terms of customization. You can see they've got these unique android parts, you know, kind of like when Data had like parts of his face removed, and you can see the inside of the android circuitry. That's what these pieces are. So basically, you can run around with your android having missing face pieces, which I felt like was kind of an odd decision. But at the same time, androids are also set up to be like alien characters, so you have a very wide variety in terms of how you can make them look and how you can customize them. So I thought that was a pretty nice touch there. So in terms of the species and officers section of the lifetime subscription, I would call it neat, but hardly essential. Yeah, unless you're really wanting to do the Borg Space Barbie thing. Liberated Borg really don't offer anything super special, especially because alien characters are much more versatile for customization, both visually and stats wise, because they get that extra trait slot, and they have access to nearly every costume piece, you know, every like species exclusive costume piece available in the game. Nearly not every single one, but most of them. So I would much rather have an alien. Talaxians, again, they get kind of a neat personal trait, but again, it's nothing super crucial. Again, I would much rather have an alien. And the android bridge officers, they're neat. Oh, I did forget to mention they're only available on Starfleet and KDF versions. There is no Romulan or Jem'Hadar android, but the Romulan and Jem'Hadar characters will be able to access these bridge officers depending on, you know, once they've allied with their appropriate faction. So you will still be able to pick up either the Starfleet or the Klingon version of the android, but you will not have a actual Romulan version of the android. Though because they are set up like aliens, you could customize your android to look like a Romulan. That would still be an option. But again, nothing really crucial on the android bridge officers. None of their traits do anything in space. They're all ground traits, which are only going to be helpful in episodes or a couple of the ground battle zones or adventure zones. So it's only going to be helpful during certain times. And again, they're okay traits. They're not going to be super useful. You'll be able to find plenty of other decent bridge officers for free throughout the game on your own. Okay, next thing to go over are the unique starships that come with the lifetime subscription, which, looking at this directly, I'm sure it seems like, oh, it comes with a lot of ships. That's not necessarily true. You got to keep in mind that a lot of these are, well, first off, like the Chimera, the Peku, and the Daenos, the Romulan one. Those are all tier 5 ships. So those were, you know, very old ships. You're not going to be using these in the current state of the game. You're basically just getting these to have access to the costume on them to be able to use on the tier 6 versions, which are the Manticore Heavy Destroyer, the Duvku Heavy Destroyer, and the Neas Heavy Destroyer. And then they later on added a Jem'Hadar version, which is the Jem'Hadar Vanguard Heavy Destroyer. Obviously, the Jem'Hadar version does not have a tier 5 version because tier 5 predates the Jem'Hadar faction entirely in terms of the playable Jem'Hadar faction. 3 of these are small craft, which means they are just playable shuttles. And actually, no, we'll look at these in game so I can show you the stats too. Okay, here are the small craft here that you get with the lifetime subscription. This is the captain's yacht. That's the Federation version. These are the stats on it. It gets 1 ensign universal seat as well as an engineering, 1 tactical, and 1 science console slot. It's got 2 weapon slots because again, it's shuttle stats, so they're going to be crap compared to an actual ship. But yeah, you get the captain's yacht here. Here's the Klingon version here. This is the Doge HUD chariot, which I'm pretty sure is based off of a Klingon shuttle we saw in Star Trek Enterprise, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they all have the same stats. There's really nothing particularly special about any of them. Here's the commander's gig, which is based off of the Romulan scout ship we saw in the TNG episode Defector. So yeah, that's the only way to get this one. I know there are still some people that think that this should have been introduced as like a tier 6 ship, you know, kind of like how the La Serena was too. I mean, there's an argument for that, but keep in mind when this was introduced, you know, they would have never done that back in the day. This is one of the ships that you get from the lifetime subscription. This is actually the fleet version of the Manticore Heavy Destroyer, though I'm using the Chimera skin on it, which right off the beginning, that's one thing that actually kind of bugs me about these ships. You know, after all the money that you have to spend to gain access to them, you still have to apply a fleet ship upgrade to them in order to get the most out of them, which fleet ship upgrades, you know, they technically you do get access to free versions of them from the reputation system, but if you've used up all those, then you're gonna have to buy a fleet ship module for your ship, which I think is kind of annoying given how expensive this already was. And the thing with these ships too is that they're really showing their age. These things, they're missing some things that I feel like really are something you would want on the current state of the game. Mainly like they're not full spec. They only have a lieutenant commander command seat, so they don't have the inspiration mechanic on them. They've also only got a 4-3 weapons layout, being destroyers. You know, typically, especially with escorts these days, you really want 5-2 plus the experimental. So yeah, it's not an ideal layout. There are plenty of other ships in the C store alone that are far superior to this thing. So you're really just buying this thing for Space Barbie. Yeah, it's got the unique transformation mechanic, which is kind of cool. All 4 versions of the ship have this. Yeah, it's neat. It's just, it doesn't have any real like meta value. You're just paying for, you know, really expensive Space Barbie, and that's about it. I would really love for these ships to get revamped somehow. You know, give it a 5-2 layout. Maybe give a little bit of a buff to the console. Give the seating a bit of a change too. I would love to, you know, because the console is so focused on energy weapons with the Phaser Lotus ability. I would love to have like an Intel seat thrown in here somehow instead of just command. But yeah, it would be this thing really needs an update. These ships really do need a once over. You know, we got it once with the Nagus. I don't see why they couldn't do a passover on these, considering they are for the lifetime subscription, guys. This is a very expensive bundle, and you really want to encourage people to still buy it. I feel like updating it from time to time would be really nice, because they've done it in the past. Like, you know, when they added playable Jem'Hadar to the game, they actually added Jem'Hadar stuff to the lifetime sub, which was nice. But that was the last update we ever got to the lifetime sub. So it would be, yeah, just in the current state of the game, I really can't recommend this ship, especially when there are so many better, cheaper options. Like here, if you're just looking for a better destroyer, I would absolutely recommend Achilles, Hydra, or the Atlantis any day over the Manticore here. Or if you're still wanting a tactical-based ship with command seating, you can go with the Valdris, or you can go with the Shangri-La, or you can go with the Typhon, all of which will feel fairly similar to the Manticore here, but will actually be full spec and have some other bonuses on top of that. So it really, there's no reason to go out of your way for the Manticore in this day and age, just because there's better options just right here in the C store. Actually, Typhon's probably the most similar to the veteran destroyers. Typhon's a full command ship, but it also has a second command seat, so you're getting more command seating out of this one. It's also got a 4-3 weapons layout, but instead of an experimental weapon, it has 2 hangar bays, which these days have been getting pretty powerful with the right setup. And technically, you can get a 3rd hangar bay with its starship trait, and it's also got its own transformation console with the fortress mode. So everything you want out of the Chimera, Typhon can probably do better. Well, except for the transformation. Fortress mode is kind of crap, but you get what I mean. Here, I'll make sure to give you a good look at the costumes before we move on to the next part too. So here's the Chimera, and then here is the other costume, the Manticore, which is more in line with the current 2409 aesthetic here. But additionally, the veteran destroyers also get well, not just the veteran destroyers. The lifetime subscription gives you access to one other perk, and that is the veteran hull material here, which, as you can see, is very dated. It is old. It is not aged well. It's got these, it's got these neat blue glowy features here. This actually used to be the standard hull material for the Chimera here, as well as the other the tier 5 versions of the veteran destroyers. But yeah, it's just it hasn't. It's a hull material that has not aged well. I kind of wish they'd like go back and like do like a second version of this one, say something a little bit more modernized. Yeah, it's not. Has not aged well. The individual costumes for Chimera and Manticore do look cool, in my opinion. I just wish the ship itself had more modern stats. Ignore the see-through windows here. I don't know why they're like that. They won't show up that outside the tailor. That just seems to be an in-tailor bug that happens in here. I don't know why, but it's been like that ever since these ships got that revamp. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's there. But yeah, that won't show up when you've exited the tailor. Here's the Klingon version. I think this is the T5 skin, the Peghu, and then the T6 version, the Dovku, and it's already got the veteran hull material on it, which is kind of greenish, kind of like that Klingon off green that you see on a lot of Klingon ships, but with these red highlights around the seams of the hull material. Looks a little bit better on this ship than it does like on the Federation ships, just because this ship is fairly old, so it was kind of designed with this hull material in mind. But you put it on newer ships, doesn't look that great. Actually, you know what? Let's show that. Okay, here it is on the Vortosk, and yeah, not great. Doesn't even line up the nacelle glows correctly on this thing. So yeah, looks very very patchy on this ship. So yeah, it's not really. It doesn't really look up to snuff on the newer ships, which you're going to find that true with a lot of the hull materials, except for the Jem'Hadar one. That one actually holds up pretty well because it was made much later than these, but we'll get to that in a bit. Okay, here's the Romulan version of here, along with the Romulan veteran hull material, which, fun fact, they actually used this hull material for the Romulan ships in the trailer for the 15th anniversary bundle, just to, because they wanted the white hull to kind of reflect the lighter color hull of the Federation ships. Felt like it kind of worked here for those, because those were kind of older ships too, and it works on this one fairly well too, but again, that's because it was designed for this hull material. This is the T6 version. I don't know why the templates aren't showing up, so I can't switch between the two pretty easily. Okay, there's Daenos. That's the T5 version. Not super different. The T6 version just has some extra detail on it, a little bit of flair here and there, but overall same basic shape for each ship. And just for the sake of getting a look at it, here is the Romulan veteran hull material on a more modern ship. This is the Ronodare support carrier, and ooh, that does not apply smoothly on this ship at all. That's just kind of a mess in there. Yeah, it just gives you an idea of what this is going to look like on more modern ships than some of the older ones. So yeah, it's kind of not that pretty. And here is the Jem'Hadar heavy destroyer here. So this is also got the veteran hull material already on it. This one looks a lot better than the other ones, just because it was made much later in the game, so it's much more up to date with the current state of the game's visual aesthetic. So that one, it's actually not that bad in my opinion, but like if you look at some of the other like later Jem'Hadar hull materials, it actually fits in pretty well with those. So yeah, that one's actually not bad if you like this. But again, the ship stats are virtually identical to the others. The only difference is that they gave the Jem'Hadar version the Vanguard mechanic, or which is the wingman mechanic. So yeah, that's the only difference between this and the others. Oh, and of course, this one only has the one costume option because there was no Tier 5 version of this ship. And something a little more common for the Jem'Hadar. Here's the Jem'Hadar, the legendary attack ship, and there it is in the veteran hull material. Actually, it kind of looks better. I think that's kind of good. That makes it a little bit more vibrant looking. That actually looks kind of decent. So yeah, if you're really into the Jem'Hadar Space Barbie, maybe you'll like this one. Actually, how does this look in the normal attack ship? Why is there no... Oh, there it is. It's actually not bad. Weird. So that's everything you get in the starships category. And like I said, a lot of it's very dated. Like the ships are kind of cool looking. Like, the Klingon and Romulan one are pretty dated looking. Chimera and Manticore both got visual revamps a while back, which always seemed odd to me, given that, there aren't a lot of people who own these ships. But yeah, the Jem'Hadar version, pretty up to date just because, it was a fairly relatively recent addition to the lifetime subscription in comparison to everything else, because that was introduced with Victory's Life, which was at this point by no means recent in terms of the game's releases, but it was the last thing added to the game, so it's much more up to date than the rest of the stuff. But that said, it still has basically the same stats as the other Tier 6 versions, which again are all showing their age. Like none of them are even full spec. I really wish they would go back and revamp the stats to the veteran destroyers, kind of like they did with the Nagus Marauder when they reintroduced that thing. I feel like that would be like a really good idea if they're not going to give us like a legendary version of the veteran destroyers, because that's something I've kind of called for in the past, but at the same time I get why they wouldn't want to do it. So rather I would rather them just update the thing's existing stats just for the sake of it, to give it just a bit more value, because again, this is the lifetime sub we're talking about. And of course, there's also the unique hull materials. Again, the first three very dated. The Jem'Hadar one actually looks surprisingly good in the current state of the gate, but again, doesn't surprise me all that much, because this one was made a lot later than the other three. The other three are really showing their age. All right, now let's move on to costumes, because there's a number of them. First, we'll start with the comm badges. This is what they call the alternate future variant comm badge, which obviously it's the comm badge from the Star Trek TNG finale, All Good Things, which was basically always used as the alternate future comm badge throughout Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager. Wasn't brought into the Prime timeline until Star Trek Prodigy, which was many years later, which is why it kind of, if you're a Prodigy fan, it kind of sucks that this was limited to the lifetime sub, because this was, I don't think Cryptic ever thought this comm badge would ever be introduced into the Prime timeline, so they kind of treated it to be kind of special. Oh my god, I have so many freaking comm badges. Where's the next one? Ah, here it is, lifetime comm badge. So yeah, this one is clearly based off of Star Trek Online's original comm badge, but given some extra flair to it. You can change all these other colors on it. Yeah, it's basically just the same comm badge piece colors that you already have. Would have been nice if you can get this, it's got like the laurels on there for like the UFP logo on the back. Would have been nice if you could change that back piece to blue, like the UFP seal, but you can't. It kind of sucks, but you can't. Yeah, everything else here is just the usual various shades of gold and silver that you get with the normal comm badge colors. But yeah, it's just a normal Stowe era comm badge, but a lot extra looking. Okay, next on to the uniform jackets. First is the Out of Sea long jacket, which you've often seen on various admirals throughout Star Trek Online, though you've also seen it on some captains. Like I know, I think Harry Kim and I think Tom Paris also wear this uniform for some reason, even though they're still captains. For some reason, they still got the long coat version. But normally, I think this is supposed to be reserved for admirals, which is why it's part of the lifetime sub. Then there's the old veteran jacket, which that's what this looks like. So this one's still kind of okay look. It doesn't look like much like of a Starfleet uniform, in my opinion. At least not for like this century, but I feel like this one's still not bad looking. Not too bad, at least. And then there's the old Jupiter veteran jacket, which, fun fact, this one actually has some variants on it. There's the Jupiter veteran, then there's Jupiter veteran decorated, which you can't really tell, but the shoulders changed color to be a little bit more metallic. And then there's the decorated gold, which adds some gold trim to it, which I'm going to change these colors a little bit so you can see those bit better. There you go. You can kind of see the color of the trim being changed with the shoulders. Yeah, that's kind of like the classic Division colors, but made to be a bit more shiny looking, I guess. Here's the stuff that the Klingon veteran characters get for costumes. They get a long version of the Bortosk coat, as well as unique Bortosk sash. They also get these unique shoulders here. There's a fur version and a version without fur. These shoulders can also support it's not quite a cape, but you get what I mean. It's sort of like a decorative fabric piece that can drape down the back of it too. So yeah, you get some options there. And of course, there's also a unique comm badge here that is kind of similar to the Federation comm badge, where it's just the usual KDF comm badge with some extra flair in the back. Though, fun fact, this one is actually smaller than the normal KDF badge. Like, that's the normal KDF badge. That's the veteran version, which the size difference just seems weird to me. Romulan characters don't get a unique badge through the lifetime subscription, but they do get a couple of costumes. This is the Romulan Republic dress uniform, which is exclusive to the lifetime sub. I always liked this uniform, honestly. I always thought this was kind of a cool one. It's pretty distinctly Romulan looking, while still looking like an actual like Star Trek type uniform, unlike the normal Romulan Republic costume, which kind of looks like just like a more Minutemen type jacket. But it feeds less into the whole ragtag aesthetic that they were going with the Romulans in the early days. I generally like this one better, more so as like a standard uniform for the Romulan Republic. I don't know why, I just do. But yeah, they get the dress uniform, and they get this, which is the Romulan Republic Admiral's uniform. Now there's actually a couple of different variants of this one. There is this. There we go. There's this one, the standard veteran one, and then there's the decorated one, which adds some like metallic shine to some of like the leather patches, and then the gold one, which that's supposed to be gold, but it's for some reason green on this. There we go. That changes up the color palette. So yeah, it'll look more like that normally, or any of these other colors that you can choose from. So yeah, it's kind of like with the veteran. They must have changed these color patterns or these color palettes at some point, after their release. So I don't know when all these other colors. These used to just be gold, and the other one I think were just silver. So yeah, they've changed that at some point in the future, which is nice and gives you a little bit more customization. But yeah, it's still just some costume pieces. Again, I don't know if you'd want to go out of your way to spend $150 minimum on just those. And lastly, here is the Jem'Hadar veteran uniform. This is the only costume piece that the Jem'Hadar get with the lifetime subscription. So this is all you get. You get the jacket, the pants, the boots. It's about it. There are other pieces that you can add onto the thing. Like there's no unique badge, but there is a just the normal badge that you get from the Jem'Hadar, but there is no unique lifetime subscription badge for the Jem'Hadar. So this is kind of it. It's a nice looking costume though. Like it's definitely polished a lot more than a lot of the other costumes that we saw for the lifetime subscription. But again, like with all the other Jem'Hadar stuff that was added to the lifetime subscription, this was added much later than a lot of the other stuff that is currently in the lifetime subscription. So that covers a lot of the visual stuff with the lifetime sub. You got the unique species, the unique starships, the unique costumes. A lot of that stuff's very visual, and you'll probably see other players running around with that stuff and make it feel kind of like, oh, I wish I had that. But there's also a lot more with the lifetime sub that you wouldn't necessarily see on someone else's character. Now, there's a lot of little stuff in here, like the 2 billion energy credit cap that gets added in there, which you get that like automatically just by spending more than $5 in the Zen store. So that's, it's a nice convenience for when you're really starting to grind on EC, but it's not like a huge deal that's in this. There's a bunch of other stuff in here too, like a bunch of respec tokens, a bunch of ship slots, dry dock slots, character slots, costume slots, bridge officer slots, a lot of stuff, a lot of room for you to buy more stuff. Really kind of a double-edged sword there, because then you got to buy stuff to fill said slots. But yeah, you can see the whole list here. There's a lot of really nice conveniences in here. This will apply to all of your characters, not just a single character like most of these upgrades will. This will apply to all characters that you make, so that's really nice. But the really big deal in this section here is this right here, the automatic dilithium refining once per day. So you know how dilithium is, you keep grinding it, you keep building up, but it's always unrefined dilithium. You can only refine it into refined dilithium once per day. And well, if you're not able to log in for a couple of days, then you're falling behind on your dilithium grind, because then your unrefined dilithium is still unrefined. Well, this kind of solves some of that problem in that it will automatically refine your dilithium. There's no contact that you have to go to. There's no setting. It just does it once per day right before the cutoff time. So the way dilithium refining works is like it's not like how events work, whereas with events it's you can only do them once per every 20 hours. But with dilithium refinement, there's no cooldown with it. It's just like a hard reset timer. So I think it's like 8 p.m. East Coast time, for at least for me it is. But it's a hard reset time that's server wide. And that's when you can refine your dilithium again. The way the automatic dilithium refinement works is that it will kind of leave it unrefined until like the very last second before that. Then it'll refine it, and then the timer will roll over. So you still get the opportunity to hit that refine button whenever you want, if you still have dilithium to refine for that day. But yeah, it'll refine it automatically, just like the last minute before the timer resets, which I know is kind of weird. I think it's like a server latency thing, to make sure you're not putting too much pressure on the server, and let players giving the chance to just kind of do it themselves to make sure the server isn't strained by having to refine everyone's dilithium automatically all at the same time. I think maybe it's just an opportunity to give you one more button to press, because we're gamers, we like to press the big button. I don't know what the reasoning is, but yeah, that's how it works. There's also a bunch of titles and accolades associated with the lifetime subscription. A lot of these are from what used to be called Star Trek Online's veteran reward system. Actually, a lot of these prizes that come with the lifetime sub were originally introduced with the veteran reward system. This was an old system back when Star Trek Online still had a subscription service. You basically, if you were still subscribed back in the day, every 100 days that you were subscribed, you would gain progress toward the veteran reward system. And every 100 days up to 1,000, they would add new rewards to this veteran reward system. So you were subscribed for 100 days, you get the first set of veteran rewards. Next 100, you get the next set of veteran rewards. But once they got to the full 1,000, they added them to the lifetime subscription. So if you had the lifetime subscription, you can just get the entirety of the veteran reward system rewards just all in one go by purchasing the lifetime sub. But yeah, that's why there's a bunch of different titles and accolades with the lifetime subscription. It's because these were introduced gradually along with the veteran rewards. And there are a few other bonuses that you get with the lifetime sub. First here is the Mugato companion pet. This is a non-combat pet. All he does is follow you around, has some unique animations. Kind of neat, but again, it's just Space Barbie stuff. Each faction also gets a unique EV suit. This is the Federation one, which is clearly inspired by the EV suit seen in Star Trek First Contact. Stats-wise, it's not that impressive. Honestly, you're much better off going with something like the CQB armor from the Discovery Reputation, which has much better stats and is easier to get because it's just from the Reputation system. Whereas this, you have to buy the whole freaking lifetime sub to get. There's also a Klingon version. Oh god, what's wrong with the Romulan version? That's not how it's supposed to look at all. There we go. That's what it should look like. That's the Romulan version. You also gain access to the fireworks emote, which really functions more like a device. It's an actual thing that you have to have in your inventory. Then you can put it on your power bar, but that's what it looks like. Fireworks. Boom, you just keep clicking it over and over again, then boom, just more fireworks. The last thing you gain access to with the lifetime subscription is the Captain's Table. You access it via the Enigma Nebula here, which really doesn't look like a nebula anymore. It's more of a portal, but I digress. This is the Captain's Table. Oh, someone's already here. So the Captain's Table is a unique social zone only available to lifetime subscription members. As you can see, very dated, very old. This this is very much an example of the what the game looked like in its early days. This station has not changed much since its introduction into the game way back in I think this has been available since day one, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's there's not much here, honestly. There's here, just go in here, you can see some stuff around here. There's various different rooms with various different things in here. I mean, the map is neat looking, honestly. Like, you know, it's, again, it's very dated, very reminiscent of what Star Trek Online used to look like back in the day, but still a decent looking map here. You can see a bunch of NPCs from throughout the game. Here's Admiral Quinn standing next to a gigantic Gorn captain for some reason. But yeah, you'll see a lot of familiar characters in and around the Captain's Table, some that aren't even in the game's story mode anymore. Hello, Leonard James Ackar, long time no see. But yeah, it's mostly, a lot of the stuff here is just for, you know, Space Barbie reasons. It's meant to be like a unique social zone, and because it's a social zone, there's not a lot here that you can't access elsewhere. Like, they did eventually add bank access in here, so you can go through your bank. I think this is an exchange over here. Yep, exchange. And some other stuff. There's a tailor over here. You can manage your ships over here. So a lot of the stuff you can do on like your home bases and stuff like that, you know, ESD, Kronos and all that, you can do here. That wasn't always the case. In fact, there was a long time there was literally just nothing to do here. But they did add some of the conveniences of the home base maps to the Captain's Table, which is nice. But again, it's nothing special. It's just a unique social map that is largely empty because not everyone in the game has access to it. You'll see some unique NPCs around here. A lot of them don't even have names. You can see just Romulan captain next to Captain Thelen, who I believe is the captain of the USS Kirk, if I remember correctly. But yeah, here's Lethian Commander, Cardassian Gull. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a unique aspect of the game that just they never really bothered to do that much with, because, you know, they didn't want to put a bunch of work into something that only a limited number of players would even have access to. But yeah, that's the Captain's Table. That's it's neat, and that's really all you can say about it. There's nothing else to it. It's just a unique social map that has some stuff that you can get in plenty of other locations. Oh, one last thing I almost forgot to talk about. This guy, I'm right here on Starfleet Academy. There's also one on the Klingon Academy, and there's another version on the in the Romulan Command Center. And I really wish they'd added one to Deep Space Nine, but they haven't done that yet, and I don't know if they ever will. But yeah, this guy is the veteran dilithium refiner. What he will do is he gives you a unique. He's a contact for a unique duty officer assignment that will allow you to refine some extra dilithium beyond the 8,000 a day limit. As you can see here, I've already refined my 8,000 per day. So if I activate this mission will take 5 seconds. Takes 5 seconds. And there we go. Now it's completed. and it just refines an extra 1,000 dilithium ore. You can do this mission once every 2 days, meaning that you will be able to increase your dilithium ore refinement to 8,500 per day, and you can get that up to 9,000 thanks to the dilithium, the other unique mission on the fleet dilithium mine, which that's not exclusive to the lifetime subscription, but you get what I mean. So lifetime subs, you do get a little extra help in refining your dilithium. Like I said, it's not exactly nearby. You got to go all the way down to the Starfleet Academy, which is a whole new instance you got to load. Really, it's most convenient for Romulan characters because their contact is right there in the Romulan command center, which is another reason why I really wish they would add one to Deep Space Nine, but that's a rant for another video. But yeah, one last thing, one last bonus you get with the lifetime sub is speeding up your dilithium grind a little bit more by being able to refine an extra 1,000 dilithium every 2 days. Oh, and you also get priority login as well as access to the triple test server, which I always forget that the lifetime sub is how you get access to the triple test server. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. So all of that for if you're on PC, a minimum of $150, or if you are on console, that's a minimum of 12,500 Zen, or about $125. Though of course that's assuming you're taking advantage of the 50% off sale, which does pop up from time to time. And let's take a look at that. There's one active right now as of recording this that should be up until I went over the date in the beginning of the video. What was it? The 30th. So you got till the end of the month to get it for half off, and then it will still be 33% off until July 2nd. But yeah, there's a sale on right now as of recording this. But the Stowe Wiki has done a really good job of keeping a track of the past sales, so you can kind of give you an idea of when these sales usually pop up. Last year in 2024, they had the same sale in the middle of November, as well as the early to mid June and end of February, which means you can expect these sales to usually pop up around the game's anniversary event, a bit before the summer event. So like around this time of year where it's late May, early June. A bit before the summer event, and then usually a bit before. Actually, that's around Black Friday is the November sale. So yeah, those are usually the dates you can expect these 50% and 33% off sales to come up for the lifetime sub. That's been pretty consistent throughout the past couple years. So obviously this brings us to the question of, is this worth it? Because there's admittedly, there is some really great stuff in here. Obviously, the big highlight for all of this is the 500 Zen stipend that you get for the PC side of the lifetime subscription. That is really nice, though really it's not going to be nice until it finally pays itself off. But once it does, that can be really nice. And of course, that begs the question of how much longer is Stowe going to be around? Obviously, we don't know. I would love to think it's going to be around for years and years to come. People have been predicting the end of Star Trek Online pretty much since its beginning. And here it is 15 years later, and it's still here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Star Trek Online still has plenty of life in it. But with the gaming industry the way it is, with how things have been going for Star Trek Online, it's understandable to be concerned about that. And maybe you don't want to put that kind of investment into a game this old, even if you do get some reimbursement in it. Again, the unique species are neat for Space Barbie, but are nothing special stats wise. Costumes, I mean, they're costumes. They're just that's Space Barbie. By definition, it's literally just if you want to make your character look like that. Nothing in here is something I would go out of my way to buy just for the sake of a lifetime subscription, especially given how expensive it is. The same with the ships. Like I as much as I like the Chimera, it's just the stats on this thing are so dated. They do not keep up with the current state of the game. Like I named off like 3 or 4 ships that are comparable to that ship, but better, that you can get in just the C store. So it's hard to say. I really wouldn't go out of my way just to get Chimera for this price tag unless they do something to update it. But like I said, I really do think it would be a smart idea for Deca to go in and update the stats on this thing like they did when they re-released the Negas Marauder. I know that's something they wouldn't normally do in a lot of cases, but given that this is the ship for the lifetime sub, I feel like that's an excuse to do these. Now, the other big highlight here is the automatic dilithium refinement. That can be very valuable, but again, that's also going to depend on how much Star Trek Online are you going to be playing here, because it takes a while to grind up dilithium, but that can be very valuable, especially if you are playing on multiple characters. That's why you don't have to hop around every tune and refine your once a day dilithium. So this can be a really helpful thing. The extra stuff is just nice to have, but really the big highlight here is the automatic dilithium refinement here. The titles, who cares? The rest of the stuff is kind of like so really the big highlights are the Zen stipend, which you're only going to get on PC, and the automatic dilithium refinement. Oh, and the duty officer contact, the extra 1,000 every 2 days. If you're diligent about visiting that duty officer contact, you can really speed up your dilithium refinement in the long run. So that can be really helpful too. So again, it really just begs the question of, is that worth $150 minimum to you? Admittedly, there's a lot of stuff here, but a lot of it just feels kind of like fluff in the current state of the game. Now, in the past, they have gone and updated the lifetime subscription, but it's been a long time. Like the last time they added new stuff to the lifetime sub was Victory's Life, or a little bit after Victory's Life, when they added the Jem'Hadar costume and ship to this thing. And just it's something they haven't done in a long time. I feel like I said, I do really stand by that suggestion of buffing the stats on the veteran destroyers like they did with the Nagus. I feel like that would go a long way to enticing people to look at this again. I'm not saying they need to make the veteran destroyers like crazy OP, but I'm just getting them up to at least the modern state of the game would go a long way to improving opinions on this, I think. But yeah, everything else, the slots and stuff like that, this is going to be really valuable, especially if you're just starting out on Star Trek Online, or even if you've been playing Star Trek Online for a good long while and you just haven't invested a lot into getting extra inventory, all the extra slots and general utility stuff here. There's a lot of useful stuff in here that would be really nice. But again, a lot of this stuff here in this area is stuff you can get elsewhere in the C store. So you can kind of get this stuff kind of over time. You don't have to get it all in one big dump. But that said, you still get that automatic dilithium refinement along with that, which again is really nice. So I'm sure this will probably annoy some of you, but I'm sorry to say that I'm not going to be giving you a solid yes or no answer on if I think the lifetime sub is still worth it, because frankly, I don't think I can answer that. I've had the lifetime subscription for years. I don't regret having it, but at the same time, I might second guess it in this current state of the game. But at the same time, that might be that might not be the case for you. You might be viewing this differently. It's your money. You got to spend it the way you want, and it's going to depend on how invested are you in Star Trek Online. That's where it comes down to, is how much time are you going to be spending with Star Trek Online? How much money are you willing to spend on Star Trek Online? But I hope this breakdown of the lifetime sub and everything that it includes did help you in making that determination. So yeah, if you found this guide useful, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to further support the channel, hit the join button to become a channel member to gain additional channel perks. Check out the merch store, check out the affiliate links in the pinned comment. If you're ever shopping on the Epic Game Store, be sure to use my content creator code STU1701. Any of these really help me out, and I really do appreciate it. Either way though, thank you so much for watching. My name's Stu, and I will see you guys next time.